Nikolai's building was in Manhattan luxury high-rise. Doormen who looked like Secret Service. Residents who were either celebrities or criminals. Sometimes both. Amara's apartment was on the 20th floor. 2 bedrooms, marble everything, views of Central Park. Nicer than anywhere she'd ever lived. Also monitored. Cameras in the hallway. Guards who tracked her comings and goings. A phone that Nikolai could call any time, day or night, with instructions she was contractually obligated to follow. Her first assignment came at 3 a.m. Dress formally. Black tie. Be ready in 30 minutes. It's 3 in the morning. The Russian underworld doesn't keep business hours. 30 minutes, Amara. Don't be late. She wore the only formal dress she owned secondhand, from her sister's wedding years ago. It would have to do. Nikolai picked her up personally. He looked perfect in a tuxedo, like he'd been born to wear them. You look lovely, but we'll need to update your wardrobe. Can't have my assistant looking like she shops at discount stores. I do shop at discount stores. That's what people do when they're not mob bosses. I prefer entrepreneur with flexible ethics. He opened the car door for her. Gentleman manners from a man who probably killed people for breakfast. Tonight you're my date to a charity gala. Smile. Make small talk. Laugh at terrible jokes from terrible people. Think you can handle that? I'm a nurse. I smile at dying people and pretend everything's fine. I can handle your gala. The event was at the Met, the kind of party where champagne cost more than Amara's monthly rent and everyone wore jewels that could fund a small country. Nikolai introduced her as his associate, which made people's eyes flicker with speculation. She met oligarchs and mob bosses disguised as businessmen, politicians who took Russian money and pretended not to notice where it came from, society wives who assessed Amara like she was competition. You're handling this well, Nikolai murmured during a waltz he'd insisted they dance. Most people are terrified their first time in my world. I'm not most people. No, you're definitely not. His hand tightened on her waist. Your father mentioned you once. Said you were stubborn, independent, refused to take his money even when your mother was dying. Said you'd rather work 3 jobs than accept help. He talked about me? Before he died, yes. He was proud of you, even if he made terrible choices that destroyed your life. He didn't destroy my life. He just complicated it. By selling you to me. The debt transferred. That's not the same as being sold, isn't it? Nikolai's eyes were intense. You're bound to me for 5 years. Have to obey my commands. Live where I say. Work when I say. In medieval times that was called serfdom. In modern times we pretend it's employment. But the cage is the same, regardless of what we call it. Then let me out. Forgive the debt. No. Why not? Because I want you here. Close. Where I can. He stopped himself. Where I can ensure the debt is properly repaid. The night ended at dawn. Nikolai drove Amara home personally, walked her to her door like they'd been on an actual date. You did well tonight, he said. Natural. Charming. You'll fit into my world easily. I don't want to fit into your world. Then you should have refused the contract. He touched her face gently. Unexpected tenderness from a man known for violence. But you didn't refuse. You signed. Which means for the next 5 years you're mine. Get used to it, Amar and Kosi. Because I'm going to make sure you never forget who you belong to. He left before she could tell him she didn't belong to anyone. But as she lay in bed unable to sleep, Amara wondered if that was true. Because Nikolai Volkov had already started claiming pieces of her she didn't know were available. Week 1 established the pattern. Nikolai would call at random hours with instructions. Attend this dinner, translate this document, accompany him to this meeting. Amara complied because the contract said she had to. Because fighting would only extend her servitude. But she refused to make it easy. You need to smile more, Nikolai said during a business dinner with Japanese investors. I'm smiling. You're grimacing. There's a difference. Then maybe hire an actress instead of a nurse bound to you by debt. I don't want an actress. I want you. Why? I'm not particularly charming or beautiful or skilled at this world. No. But you're real. Everyone else in my life wants something: money, power, connections. You just want to survive your contract and leave. That honesty is refreshing. It's also depressing. You're surrounded by users and liars. Welcome to the mafia, darling. Honesty gets you killed. Lies keep you alive. Despite herself, Amara started learning Nikolai's world. The hierarchies and codes. The way deals were made with handshakes that meant more than contracts. The violence that simmered beneath expensive suits and polite conversation. She also learned about Nikolai himself. He'd inherited the bratva from his father at 25. Younger than most, more ruthless than all. Built the organization from regional power to international empire in a decade. Eliminated rivals, absorbed competitors, established dominance through strategy and calculated violence. But he also funded hospitals in Brighton Beach. Ran community centers for Russian immigrants. Helped people who came to America the way he had. Desperate and afraid and willing to do anything to survive. You're a walking contradiction, Amara told him one night after a charity function where he donated $1 million to a children's hospital. How so? You're a criminal who helps people. A killer who funds hospitals. A monster who... She stopped. Who what? Who looks at me like I'm human instead of property. Nikolai's expression softened. You are human. That's why I want you close. Everyone else in my world forgot how to be human years ago. But you still have compassion. Still care about people. Still see the world as something worth saving instead of just surviving. Don't romanticize me. I'm here because I have no choice. You had a choice. You could have run. Disappeared. Changed your name and moved to another city. But you didn't. You signed the contract and stayed. Why? Because running meant abandoning her mother's memory. Meant admitting her father's debt was more than she could handle. Meant giving up instead of fighting. Because I'm stubborn, Amara said finally. And I don't let bullies win. I'm a bully now? You're a man who uses power to control people. What else would I call you? Fair enough. Nikolai poured wine, expensive Russian, older than both of them. But consider this. I could have taken everything from you. Your apartment, your savings, your future. Instead I gave you a way out. Harsh terms, yes. But terms nonetheless. In my world, that's mercy. Your world has low standards for mercy. My world has low standards for everything except survival. You'll understand that eventually. Week 4, someone tried to kill Nikolai. They were leaving a restaurant in Brighton Beach when gunfire erupted. Nikolai shoved Amara behind a car, covered her body with his, and returned fire with a gun she hadn't known he was carrying. The attackers fled. Nikolai's security team arrived, and Amara realized she was shaking, adrenaline crash hitting hard. Are you hurt? Nikolai's hands were on her, checking for injuries, his face pale with something that looked like fear. I'm fine. You. I'm fine. This happens. Rivals testing my defenses. Nothing unusual. People tried to kill you and that's nothing unusual? In my world, yes. He helped her stand. Are you sure you're okay? No. I'm terrified. But I'm alive. So I guess that's something. Nikolai pulled her close. Unexpected, intimate, nothing to do with the contract. I'm sorry. This is my fault. You shouldn't be in danger because of me. I signed the contract. I knew the risks. Knowing and experiencing are different. I'll increase your security. Make sure. No. Amara pulled back. Don't make me more important. Don't give me special protection. That just makes me a bigger target. Either I'm part of your world or I'm not. Choose. You're part of my world. Whether I want you to be or not. Then stop apologizing for it. And start teaching me how to survive it. Nikolai taught her to shoot. To fight. To read situations and anticipate danger. She was a quick study. Nursing had taught her anatomy. And Legos had taught her to be aware of her surroundings. You're good at this, Nikolai said after she hit 10 targets in a row at the range. I'm good at surviving. This is just another skill. Most people in your situation would be crying or complaining. You're just adapting. What else am I supposed to do? Break down? That doesn't pay the debt or get me through the 5 years. So I adapt. I survive. I win. You're remarkable. I'm practical. But the way Nikolai looked at her wasn't practical. It was hungry. Possessive. Something that had nothing to do with debt and everything to do with want. And Amara felt it too, the pull toward a man she should hate. The attraction to someone who owned her, at least on paper. The dangerous desire to turn servitude into something else. She ignored it. Professionalism. Boundaries. The contract specified work, not romance. But week 8 everything changed. Nikolai kissed her after a particularly tense negotiation with the Italian mob. They were in his car. Adrenaline still high from the meeting where guns had been displayed but not fired. Threats made but not executed. The delicate dance of criminal diplomacy. You were brilliant in there, Nikolai said. The way you translated not just the words but the subtext. The way you read the room. You're wasted as a nurse. You should be running empires. I don't want to run empires. I want to heal people. What if I said you heal me? Just by being near me. Being real in a world of lies. I'd say you're romanticizing the help. And if I said I'm falling in love with you? Amara's breath caught. I'd say you can't. The contract forbids romantic involvement. You wrote that clause yourself. I wrote it to protect you. So you'd never feel pressured. But I can't control how I feel. And I feel. He reached for her face. I feel like you're the first real thing I've touched in a decade. Nikolai. He kissed her. Deep and desperate and wrong in every professional way. She kissed him back. Because somewhere between assignments and danger and late-night conversations, she'd stopped seeing him as the enemy. Started seeing him as just Nikolai. Flawed and trying and trapped in his own cage made of family legacy and criminal obligation. This is a terrible idea, Amara whispered when they broke apart. The best ideas usually are. I'm bound to you by contract. This isn't consensual. It's mutual. And consensual. And has nothing to do with the debt. Nikolai pulled back, giving her space. I'm not using the contract to coerce you. If you want me to leave you alone, I will. But if you feel even a fraction of what I feel, I do. God help me, I do. But this changes everything. Maybe it's supposed to change everything. They became lovers. Secret at first, Nikolai worried about her safety if rivals knew she mattered to him personally. But eventually word spread. Amara Nkosi wasn't just Nikolai Volkov's contracted assistant. She was his woman, which made her a target. The first attack came at her hospital. Men in masks looking for leverage against Nikolai. Amara fought them off using the skills he'd taught her, security arriving just in time. The second attack was more subtle. Poison in her food at a restaurant. She'd learned to be paranoid, didn't eat it, survived. The third time they came to her apartment. Amara woke to find 3 men in her bedroom. She reached for the gun Nikolai had insisted she keep in her nightstand, but they were faster. Grabbed her. Dragged her out before she could scream. They took her to a warehouse in Queens. Tied her to a chair. And a man with a Chechen accent explained that she was leverage. That Nikolai had killed his brother. That he'd release her when Nikolai came to die in her place. He won't come, Amara said, trying to sound confident. I'm just his assistant. Just his. You're his everything. We've been watching. He looks at you like you're oxygen. He'll come. And he'll die. And you'll watch. Nikolai came. But he didn't come alone. The warehouse exploded with violence. Nikolai's men storming in. Gunfire and screams, chaos. Amara watched Nikolai fight his way to her, killing 3 men to reach her chair. He cut her free with bloody hands. Are you hurt? No. Scared. But not hurt. Good. He kissed her forehead. Close your eyes. Don't watch what comes next. But she did watch. Watched him execute the man who'd ordered her kidnapping. Watched him do it with cold precision that reminded her exactly who Nikolai Volkov was beneath the tenderness. I'm sorry, he said in the car afterward. Sorry you're in danger because of me. Sorry I dragged you into this world. Sorry I. Stop apologizing. I chose this. Chose you. You chose a debt contract, not a relationship with a killer. You're not just a killer. Amara searched for words. You're a man who grew up in violence and learned to survive it. You're someone trying to be better than what you were raised to be. She stopped. You're what? My partner. My love. My choice. Nikolai pulled the car over, turned to face her. The contract ends in 3 years. When it does, you'll be free. Free to leave, to hate me, to never see me again. But until then I choose to stay. Not because I have to. Because I want to. Why? Because you're the first person who's ever looked at me like I matter more than my usefulness. Like I'm more than a nurse or a daughter or a debt. Like I'm just Amara, and that's enough. They spent that night in Nikolai's penthouse making love like the world was ending. Because in their world it might. Any day, any moment someone could come for them. But for that night they had each other. And that was enough. 2 years into the contract, the FBI came calling. Agent Reeves was professional, direct, and very clear about what he wanted. We know about your relationship with Nikolai Volkov. We know you're not just his assistant. And we want you to help us build a case against him. No. Miss Nkosi, Nikolai Volkov is responsible for dozens of murders. Drug trafficking. Money laundering. Human trafficking. He's never trafficked people. He died before allowing that in his organization. How do you know? Because I know him. Better than your surveillance files ever could. Then help us understand him. Help us build a case that will put him away without killing innocent people in the crossfire. Wear a wire. Gather evidence. In exchange, immunity for you, witness protection, freedom from the debt. I don't want freedom from Nikolai. I love him. You love a monster. I love a man who's trying to be better than his circumstances. There's a difference. Amar told Nikolai about the FBI that night. Showed him Agent Reeves's card. Watched his face as he processed the betrayal. You could take their deal, he said quietly. Get out of the debt. Get away from me. Build a safe, normal life. I don't want safe and normal. I want you. Why? I've given you nothing but danger and debt, and a future where you're always looking over your shoulder. You've given me more than that. You've given me purpose, partnership, love that doesn't come with conditions or expectations. You've given me, she took his hands. You've given me the first relationship in my life where I feel like an equal instead of a caretaker or a daughter or a debt. You're bound to me by contract. We're not equals. Legally, maybe. But emotionally, we're partners. We choose each other every day. That's more equal than most marriages. Nikolai pulled her close. If you stay, the FBI will keep coming. Keep pressuring you. Trying to turn you against me. Let them try. I'm not going anywhere. But the FBI didn't give up. They pressured Amara at work, at home, through her family. Her sister begged her to cooperate. Her mother's friends warned her she was in danger. Help us, Agent Reeves said during their 5th conversation. We have evidence of a meeting next week. Russian mob bosses from 5 cities. If something goes wrong, hundreds of people could die. Including you. Help us prevent that. How? Tell us the location. Let us plant surveillance. We won't arrest anyone. Just gather intelligence. No one gets hurt. Against her better judgment, Amara agreed. Told Agent Reeves about the meeting. Let them plant cameras. And watched everything go wrong. The FBI didn't just surveil. They raided. Arrested everyone. Turned a business meeting into a massacre when Nikolai's associates resisted. 15 people died. Including Nikolai's oldest friend and advisor. Nikolai confronted Amara in his penthouse. His face a mask of fury and pain. You told them. They said they just surveil. They lied. And you believed them. And because of you, Pavel is dead. Pavel, who was at my wedding. Who helped me build this organization. Who was family. I'm sorry. I didn't know. You didn't ask. You just believed the FBI over me. Chose their word over mine. Nikolai's voice was cold. Get out. Nikolai. Get out. The contract is void. The debt is forgiven. You're free. Leave before I do something we'll both regret. Amara left. Spent 3 days in a hotel room crying and hating herself. She'd betrayed Nikolai. Gotten his friend killed. Destroyed the only relationship that had ever mattered. On day 4, Agent Reeves visited. We appreciate your cooperation. Your debt is officially forgiven. You're free to resume your normal life. I don't have a normal life. You destroyed it. We gave you freedom from a criminal. You should be grateful. I'm not. I'm grieving. Because I love him and you used that love to manipulate me. You're no better than the criminals you claim to fight. We fight for justice. You fight for convictions. There's a difference. Amara resigned from her job. Left New York. Tried to build a life in Boston where Nikolai's shadow didn't follow her. It lasted 6 months. Then Nikolai found her. Showed up at her new apartment looking exhausted and older and heartbroken. I forgive you, he said without preamble. What? I forgive you for telling the FBI. For trusting them. For Pavel's death. I've spent 6 months hating you and it's eating me alive. So I'm choosing to forgive you instead. Why? Because love means forgiving the unforgivable. Because I understand why you did it. You thought you were preventing violence. Because losing you has been worse than losing Pavel. Because he took her hands. Because I need you. Not as contracted help. Not as obligation. As my partner. My equal. My choice. I don't deserve forgiveness. Neither do I. But we're giving it to each other anyway. Isn't that what love is? Amara kissed him. Desperate and grateful and terrified. Come home, Nikolai whispered. Not because you're bound by debt. Because you're bound by love. Because we choose each other despite everything. Come home. Okay. Yes. Home. 3 years after the contract ended, Amara and Nikolai were still together. Not because she owed him. Because she loved him. Because they'd chosen each other through betrayal and forgiveness, and the impossible work of building trust from broken pieces. Nikolai had gone partially legitimate. Still ran the Bratva but cut out the most violent operations. Focused on protection, legitimate business, community support. Trying to be better than his father, better than his legacy. Do you regret it? Amara asked one evening, watching New York sunset from their penthouse. The life you could have had if I'd never interfered. Full power. No complications. I regret nothing. You made me better. Forced me to be more than just the Bratva king. He pulled her close. You bound me to something higher than power. Bound me to love. To conscience. To trying. Your people still call me the dead girl. Let them. I call you my wife. My partner. My redemption. They married quietly. No ceremony, just paperwork and commitment. Amara kept her job as a nurse, kept her independence, kept her identity separate from Nikolai's empire. But she was bound to him. Not by debt. By choice. And that made all the difference. One night, lying in bed, Nikolai asked the question he'd been avoiding for years. Do you wish you'd never signed the contract? Never been bound to me. Amara thought about the 5 years of danger and debt and impossible choices. About loving a criminal and choosing him over safety. About becoming someone she'd never planned to be. No, she said finally. I don't wish that. Because being bound to you, first by debt, then by love, taught me that freedom isn't about being unattached. It's about choosing your attachments. Choosing who and what you're bound to. And I choose you. Every day. Forever. Even though I'm a criminal. Even though. Because you're also the man who funded my mother's cancer treatment. Who built hospitals in poor neighborhoods. Who taught me to fight and survive and demand respect. Who loved me when I was just a nurse with a debt. Who forgave me when I betrayed you. Who chose redemption over revenge. She kissed him. You're not just a criminal. You're mine. And I'm yours. Bound by choice. That's the only kind of binding that matters. Nikolai held her close, and Amara thought about the girl who'd signed a contract to escape her father's debt. She'd been so afraid of being owned, so determined to serve her time and escape. She'd never imagined that being bound to Nikolai Volkov would be the freest she'd ever felt. Because love, real love, wasn't a cage. It was choosing your chains and wearing them as wings.